We're in Moscow tonight. We're here to interview the president of Russia, Vladimir Putin. We'll be doing that soon. There are risks to conducting an interview like this, obviously, so we thought about it carefully over many months. Here's why we're doing it. First, because it's our job. We're in journalism. Our duty is to inform people. 2 years into a war that's reshaping the entire world, most Americans are not informed. They have no real idea what's happening in this region, here in Russia or 600 miles away in Ukraine. But they should know. They're paying for much of it.
I am Johnny Massacre and welcome to my world. Tonight, Tucker Carlson has interviewed Vladimir Putin and the interview is about to drop. Who is with me? Give me a hell yeah! Yes, Tucker. The people should know what's going on over in Russia since they are paying to support the Ukraine war and whatnot. Don't you think so? I think so. Keep going, Tucker. Keep going, my son.
In ways they might not fully yet perceive. The war in Ukraine is a human disaster. It's left hundreds of thousands of people dead, an entire generation of young Ukrainians, and it's depopulated the largest country in Europe. But the long-term effects are even more profound. This war has utterly reshaped the global military and trade alliances, and the sanctions that followed have as well. And in total, they have upended the world economy. The post-World War II economic order, the system that guaranteed prosperity in the West for more than 80 years, is coming apart very fast, and along with it, the dominance of the US dollar.
Quality of living is going down, global stability is going down, the dominance of the US dollar is going down, Putin is moving towards BRICS with China, and so you deserve to know what the hell is really going on in Russia and between Russia and Ukraine, but you're not going to hear it from the mainstream media. One person who might give you another side of the story is this man, Tucker Carlson.
These are not small changes. They are history-altering developments. They will define the lives of our grandchildren. Most of the world understands this perfectly well. They can see it. Ask anyone in Asia or the Middle East what the future looks like. And yet the populations of the English-speaking countries seem mostly unaware. They think that as nothing has really changed. And they think that because no one has told them the truth.
Do you trust the mainstream media to report honestly on what's going on between Russia and Ukraine?
Their media outlets are corrupt. They lie to their readers and viewers. And they do that mostly by omission. For example, since the day the war in Ukraine began, American media outlets have spoken to scores of people from Ukraine, and they've done scores of interviews with Ukrainian President Zelensky. We ourselves have put in a request for an interview with Zelensky, and we hope he accepts. But the interviews he's already done in the United States are not traditional interviews. They are fawning pep sessions specifically designed to amplify Zelensky's demand that the U.S. enter more deeply into a war in Eastern Europe and pay for it. That is not journalism. It is government propaganda.
Would you agree with that? That the media have been essentially giving Zelensky a platform to ask for more money, as opposed to doing what journalists should do and asking him the hard questions? What do you think, bruv?
Propaganda of the ugliest kind, the kind that kills people. At the same time, our politicians and media outlets have been doing this, promoting a foreign leader like he's a new consumer brand. Not a single Western journalist has bothered to interview the president of the other country involved in this conflict, Vladimir Putin. Most Americans have no idea why Putin invaded Ukraine or what his goals are now. They've never heard his voice.
And in fact, in the mainstream media, you never hear any reasons why Putin invaded Ukraine beyond the fact that he's apparently some megalomaniacal dictator. When actually, the US, after the Soviet Union fell, promised that NATO would not expand 1 inch to the east, and it expanded all the way to Russia's border. Anyways, maybe we're going to hear a little bit about this from Putin very soon, courtesy of this imminent Tucker Carlson interview.
That's wrong. Americans have a right to know all they can about a war they're implicated in, and we have the right to tell them about it because we are Americans too.
And you might get called up, fighting age students of America.
Freedom of speech is our birthright. We were born with the right to say what we believe. That right cannot be taken away no matter who is in the White House. But they're trying anyway. Almost 3 years ago, the Biden administration illegally spied on our text messages and then leaked the contents to their servants in the news media. They did this in order to stop a Putin interview that we were planning.
Holy shit. That's a conspiracy for you. The US government spied on Tucker Carlson to stop him from interviewing Putin. Could this be why he left Fox News?
Last month, we're pretty certain they did exactly the same thing once again. But this time, we came to Moscow anyway.
The US government attempting to stop interviews with Putin. Could they be trying to hide something, or are they trying to protect us? Let me know in the comments below.
We are not here because we love Vladimir Putin. We are here because we love the United States, and we want it to remain prosperous and free. We paid for this trip ourselves. We took no money from any government or group. Nor are we charging people to see the interview. It is not behind a paywall. Anyone can watch the entire thing.
Get ready, motherfuckers!
Shot live to tape and unedited on our website, tuckercarlson.com. Elon Musk, to his great credit, has promised not to suppress or block this interview once we post it on his platform, X. And
Mate, the internet is about to be broken by this interview between Tucker Carlson and Putin.
Grateful for that. Western governments, by contrast, will certainly do their best to censor this video on other less principled platforms because that's what they do. They are afraid of information they can't control. But you have no reason to be afraid of it. We are not encouraging you to agree with what Putin may say in this interview, but we are urging you to watch it. You should know as much as you can. And then, like a free citizen and not a slave, you can decide for yourself. Thanks.
And the US government certainly wouldn't want that, would they? Amazing. So apparently this Tucker Carlson Putin interview is going to be about 2 hours long. That's according to Alex Jones over on X. And people are getting mad that Tucker is interviewing Putin. Tucker is a traitor is trending on X. And generally, the woke left are very angry about all of this. And they're raging. And some of the people on the left are even suggesting that Tucker Carlson should be investigated by the FBI for daring to interview Putin. Look at this. Jay in Kiev says Tucker Carlson is stopped in Moscow, praised by a local, timidly responds that he's merely in town to look around, says he maybe, just maybe, will interview Putin. And now he's actually obviously come out and revealed that he is going to interview Putin. And that mainstream media is also getting very angry. Look what CNN said about this. They tried to smear Tucker. They said, Tucker Carlson is in Russia to interview Putin. He's already doing the bidding of the Kremlin. Do you remember CNN said that Donald Trump was doing the bidding of the Kremlin and they were proved to be wrong? Do you think they're now right about Tucker Carlson? It's always the big bad Russians over at CNN. The mainstream media who are freaking out about Tucker Carlson interviewing Putin are perhaps a little hypocritical because CNN interviewed Osama bin Laden in 1997. Are CNN aiding and abetting Al-Qaeda? That guy on X didn't say that. Do you remember when CBS interviewed Saddam Hussein in 2003? Do you remember 60 Minutes with Putin himself in 2005? NBC with Putin in 2021? But now they're all freaking out because Tucker Carlson is interviewing Putin. They're freaking out because they believe it's dangerous to interview Putin. It gives oxygen to Putin's beliefs. The people who are angry at Tucker interviewing Putin believe that doing this will somehow humanize, validate, and legitimize Putin. But the people telling us that Putin is dangerous are the same leftists who are pro-censorship, pro-stacking the Supreme Court, pro-puberty blockers, pro-chopping off young children's genitals to transition, pro-arresting their political rivals, pro-socialism, pro-15-minute cities, pro-mass migration at the border, pro-mail-in ballots, pro-shutting down X, and any conservatives on social media, pro-lockdowns, pro-masks, pro-boosters, pro-BLM, anti-voter ID, anti-fossil fuels, and anti-nuclear energy. Do you really trust these people to deliver us the truth about Putin? Is my honest question. Just asking a question. But asking a question is actually quite dangerous these days, as Tucker Carlson is finding out. We've heard this argument before. It's known as deplatforming. They try to stop Trump from speaking. They tried to stop people from interviewing Trump and airing Trump's footage. They tried to stop Douglas Murray from speaking. They try to stop anyone speaking they don't like, and it's known as deplatforming. Don't give these people a platform because they're dangerous. But these people forget that when Milo Yiannopoulos and Mizzy of Piers Morgan and TikTok fame were platformed, they destroyed themselves under the weight of public scrutiny. Giving someone a platform isn't actually as dangerous as these people might think, because if they're really, really bad, they're not going to be able to garner support on said platform. In my opinion, Massacre Mates, a free society needs to allow everyone to speak and everyone to be heard. If not, the government will, in the end, ban anyone who disagrees with them. See Nazi Germany, see Communist Russia and Communist China. This is already happening in America through government proxies like Instagram, Facebook, Google, and previously X, as revealed in the Twitter files leaks. Bad arguments, Massacre Mates, can be dismantled. So let them take place. Let people have a platform. Everyone has a platform and they should be able to use it. The alternative to that is much worse than hearing speech you don't like. The idea that platforming bad people is dangerous, A, speaks to the narcissism of the leftists who believe they own the platform in the first place, and B, speaks to the bigotry of low expectations of leftists who believe that you're too dumb to disseminate right from wrong and good from evil on your own, that you're easily swayed like dumb children by anyone with an opinion, and that you require some kind of parental help to navigate your life. And that also shows you why leftists are so desperate to control the narrative, their lust for deplatforming. They see speech as a form of control and manipulation, not as a form of communication and free expression. Surely if Putin is that dangerous, we will be able to hear it ourselves in the Tucker interview, the same way we can see when a film is going to be woke trash just from the trailer, as opposed to not hearing Putin speak and trusting someone who hates free speech to tell us what Putin is thinking. Why should we trust these people, as Tucker mentioned, who are trying to deplatform him and Putin? Why should we trust them to tell us what's going on in Russia and what's happening with Ukraine? They have done nothing to earn our trust. Actually, they've done the complete opposite, to lose our trust in their embracement of censorship and their attempts to assimilate all of popular culture into their hateful Marxist hive, all the while blaming you for all their problems and calling you some kind of terrible name and phobe. And before someone uses Hitler as an example in support for deplatforming, Hitler didn't allow people to speak freely. That is one of the things that destroys society. That is exactly what the left is trying to do, in my opinion. And Hitler not allowing people to speak freely was one of the things that catalyzed Germany's own destruction. And Hitler had people on the streets beating people up, known as the brown shirts. Hitler could have never attained power without his brown shirts. It wasn't just Hitler's words that destroyed Germany. Plenty of other factors were in play. So just some words from Vladimir Putin isn't suddenly going to cause World War III or the end of the world. It's okay to give people a platform. As I said, the people can judge whether he's right or wrong, and I trust them. I have faith in you and your intelligence to work out whether what Putin is saying is right or wrong. So let's hear what Putin has to say, Massacre Mates. Let us be the judge, and let's see how Tucker Carlson handles it. That alone will be very interesting. Will Tucker grill Putin the same way he grilled the crazy leftists on Fox News? If he doesn't do that, that would suggest Tucker is not being completely honest in order to secure the interview. And ironically, that could do much more damage to his reputation than any censoring of his interview, as the left so clearly wants to do. But the mainstream media is too blinded by their hatred of conservatives to see that. The mainstream media, obviously, if you go and look at it now, you will see they hate that there is now a potential counter-narrative to the web they've been spinning about Russia and Ukraine for the last couple of years. The mainstream media doesn't want you to hear the other side of the story, whether you agree with it or not, from Putin, especially because the mainstream media are captured by the government, and the mainstream media, in my opinion, has to sustain the Putin bad, Ukraine good narrative to get access to billions of dollars of your hard-earned wages in taxes to help Ukraine, one of the most corrupt countries on planet Earth, that only is America's ally because of a US-sponsored color revolution in 2004, I might add. The other side of the story that you're probably going to hear from Putin very soon also potentially might expose how America keeps starting wars to feed the military-industrial complex. What that means is America makes money from starting wars. And you might also hear how Russia today, with NATO on its border, is acting no different to how America acted when Russia was on its border, courtesy of Cuba during the Cuban Missile Crisis. These are all things you might hear that the mainstream media doesn't want you to hear, because the mainstream media acting at the behest of the government, who want to have the narrative that Ukraine good, Putin bad, give us your money. They're already trying to force through a bill which would give another 60 billion to Ukraine, which is more than the US is investing in its own military over the same period, apparently. So that's why the mainstream media is getting angry. But listening to the other side, listening to Putin, doesn't mean you're pro-Putin, as Tucker said in that video. We have to hear Putin's argument first. We all know Putin's a bit of a knob, since he's been in power since the year 2000, and he's running for re-election in this year, 2024, which means he'll probably be in power till at least 2030. And lest I remind you, those who refuse to relinquish power in their rule over a country are historically disposed to corruption and authoritarianism. So it doesn't mean if you interview him or you listen to him that you support him. But it isn't lost to me that the left is so incredibly radical right now, so against free speech, so Marxist, so destructive, they make Putin look relatively sane by comparison. And they don't want you to know that by airing this Putin interview. I mean, Putin said no radical gender ideology in classrooms, no mass illegal migration, no wokeness. He's pro-Christianity. So let that sink in. The American left today, in my opinion, are more Marxist than modern-day Russia, whose infrastructure was built upon Marxism for 69 years in the 20th century. But just because Putin hates leftists and Marxists doesn't mean we have to support him. Hitler hated Marxists as well, and you shouldn't like Hitler. History has plenty of examples of teaming up against a shared enemy with people you don't like. Russia and the United States teamed up and had the same shared enemy of Hitler and the Nazis. Chiang Kai-shek, the leader of the nationalists in China, and Mao Zedong, they were the bitterest enemies. They joined forces to stave off the Japanese imperialists. With that said, are the left really going to attack America and Western Europe so viciously that Putin can exploit our internal divisions by aligning himself with Western conservative beliefs, giving the left more fuel to attack the right, and implicating the right in some way with a dictator who deep down doesn't give a shit about us? We're going to find out soon enough. So bring on this fucking interview, because I cannot wait. It is going to break the internet. The internet is ablaze with chitter-chatter of Tucker interviewing Putin. Don't let those fools try to diminish this moment. It's clearly going to be an astounding piece of journalism. Back in the day, even the other side could be humble in the face of a good story and good journalism. He's putting himself, his life on the line out there to let us know what's going on in Russia and give us another side to the story. As I said, just because Putin's going to say things that try to make him look good doesn't mean he's actually going to make himself look terrible. But things are different these days. We can't get along at all. Everything is politicized. Any chance to demonize your rivals will be taken. They'll bite your hand off for the opportunity to try to smear and slander the other side. That's why they're talking shit on Tucker. But I think what he's doing is fucking awesome. Proved by the fact everyone's very interested in this and wants to hear it. Let me leave it to Alex Jones to summarize what is about to happen. Quote, "Fuck your new world order. take your censorship and go fuck yourselves. Alex Jones says to the mainstream media while driving his car with a suspicious amount of sunlight in his eyes. Take it away, Mr. Jones.
Okay, folks. Tucker has announced that he's got the Putin interview, and he just texted me and said, yeah, it's amazing. It's 2 hours long. It's going to drop very, very soon. They're not going to sit on it. And it's going to be history making. We're trying to stop World War III. All the different sides should be talking. This is amazing. So, obviously, tomorrow on my weekday show, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m., I'll be covering this. But it sounds, from what Tucker said, when he's told me, this is imminent. So, this is a big, 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 big deal. And all the censors are in absolute, full, and complete panic mode right now because they don't want the American people, who they keep in the dark, to have any idea what's really going on. But free speech is what America's all about. It's our birthright. So, 2-hour Vladimir Putin, Tucker Carlson interview about to drop. Fuck you, New World Order. Take your censorship and go fuck yourselves.
That's actually fucking brilliant. So someone's actually trying to do some journalism, and in the modern world, to the new world order, all the fucking NGOs and anonymous donors and stuff and globalists, they don't want anyone to go against their narrative, which is a narrative of power and control. So yeah, fuck you, New World Order, and fuck you, mainstream media, you lazy fuckers with dwindling viewing figures, resting on your laurels for too long, becoming fat and bloated on your own shit that you fucking made. Now it's time for some real journalists to go out there, put their lives on the line, do some investigation, and bring us what's really going on. I'm up for it. Random Man in the comments says, is the interview on the net yet? Not yet, but it's coming. It's coming very soon. You got to keep your eyes locked to it. If you are just joining me, I am Johnny Massacre, and we are discussing Tucker Carlson's impending interview with Vladimir Putin. But if you have been watching from the beginning, then stop your grinning and drop your linen, donate some cash, and let's keep winning. Streamlabs.com/Johnny Massacre. If you punch that into your browser right now and punch in your credit card details, my PayPal isn't working for some reason, I will read out your comment live and you'll make me very happy. I want to say a big shout out to the patrons who are certainly keeping me alive. I really appreciate you very much indeed. And I will be reading you out very, very soon. You're freaking awesome. And we've already made a little bit of dough this month. As you can see, we've made $260. So allow me to read out the names of the benevolent few who were kind enough to part with their hard-earned money. But little old me. So thank you very much, New Gold Standard, Sir Jeffrey. Big thank you to Deathclaw Jedi, who donated $225. What a legend. Martin Rangecroft. Norris Griffin, who we haven't heard from for a very long time. He was the guy who stayed up for 24 hours on our first 24-hour live stream, as did Jim Morrison's Bathtub. Thank you for your donation. Jimmy Shorts with $10 and Tom Christopoulos with $10. You are all super duper generous. Okay. You want some other news? There is a little bit dropping. So on Medusa.io, it says, Kremlin says Putin agreed to interview with Tucker Carlson because he differs from traditional Anglo-Saxon media. There you go. Maybe he'll actually listen to him. Okay. So there is other news going on. So let us cover a little bit of other news. Why don't we, Massacre mates? It's going to be about Disney, isn't it? We're going to have to talk about Disney. Don't make me do it. Don't make me do it. I'm going to do it. So, Gina Carano and Elon Musk are suing Disney. I shit you not. So Gina Carano, fired Star Wars actress, ex-UFC fighter, and all-round conservative babe. She's suing Disney for wrongful dismissal after Disney fired her for posting a meme seeming to compare Jewish persecution by Nazis to modern-day conservative persecution by leftists. So Gina Carano, she was fired for this tweet. And it says, Jews were beaten in the streets, not by Nazi soldiers, but by their neighbors, even by children. Because history is edited, most people today don't realize that to get to the point where Nazi soldiers could easily round up thousands of Jews, the government first made their own neighbors hate them simply for being Jews. How is that any different from hating someone for their political views? So she was fired for that, which is obviously insanely harsh. And this is, according to Hollywood Reporter, not the first time Gina Carano, who played former Rebel Alliance soldier Cara Dune on The Mandalorian, has been the focus of social media ire for her political comments. Gina Carano also issued tweets in which she mocked mask wearing amid the novel coronavirus pandemic, and another in which she suggested voter fraud occurred during the 2020 presidential election, much like how Democrats claimed hundreds of times when Trump won. Remember Clinton and Biden and Jimmy Carter, Jerry Nadler, Dianne Feinstein and whatnot also claimed that there was a voter fraud and whatnot. But when Gina Carano does it, she gets fired from Disney. So here is what Gina Carano was saying. She announced this over on X that she's going to sue Disney. And amazingly, Elon Musk jumped in and he is funding her lawsuit. So fucking hell. Elon Musk is like some kind of weird inversion of George Soros. Is he not? This is what Gina said. Today is an important day for me. I'm filing a lawsuit against Lucasfilm and Disney. So let's get down to the main part, shall we? She said, a couple of months ago, Elon Musk tweeted that if you had been fired from using the platform X for exercising your right to free speech, he would like to offer these people legal representation. Quite the noble offer. But never in my wildest dreams would I have thought anyone would take on my case against Lucasfilm, Disney. Still, I did respond back. I think I qualify, and thousands of people agreed, but I did not expect anything. To my surprise, a few months ago, I received an email from a lawyer who had been hired by X to look into my story and many others. Turns out, after sending them as much information as I could gather these past few months, my now lawyers and X believe wholeheartedly in my case and are moving forward. I would like to express my deepest gratitude and thank you to Elon Musk and X for giving me the opportunity to bring my case to light. As for me, I would love to pick up where I left off and continue my journey of creating and participating in storytelling, which is my utmost passion and everything I worked so hard for. It has been difficult to move forward with the lies and labels stuck on me, backed and encouraged by the most powerful entertainment company in the world. I'm grateful someone has come to my defense in such a powerful way and look forward to clearing my name. Thank you to all the people who have supported me and made your voices heard. I pray God blesses each and every one of you. With love, Gina Carano. So this is really happening, which I find just so awesome, because she was obviously unfairly fired and it was obviously a political firing. So now we can rejoice. Nudge Rotic says on X, Disney fucked around. Welcome to the find out part of this story. You go, girl. Gina Carano, referencing a Hollywood Reporter news excerpt that says Gina Carano sues Disney over Mandalorian filing in lawsuit funded by Elon Musk. And Elon Musk is building a whole dossier, a whole case against Disney. And not only is he doing that, but he's doing it in the public eye, in collaboration with the public. This feels like democracy, does it not? Elon Musk encouraged people to come forth with their own information about Disney to build up this lawsuit against them. Look what Elon Musk said. He said, please let us know if you would like to join the lawsuit against Disney. So yes, you Massacre mates can join the lawsuit against Disney if you've worked for them, if you have been the victim of their racist and sexist hiring policies where they hire people at the expense of others just because of their accident of birth. You should let Elon Musk know publicly, building a case against Disney where the people can contribute. It's amazing for democracy. And Musk announced just now that an anonymous source just told him about Disney's most recent racist and sexist hiring guides. And surely this will serve as evidence in the case against Carano's dismissal, that Disney are a political company. So look at this from Elon Musk. He says, if you were discriminated against by Disney or its subsidiaries, ABC, ESPN, Marvel, just reply to this post to receive legal support. Musk says, an anonymous source just sent me this from Disney. It is mandatory. Institutionalized racism and sexism. Look at this. Disney General Entertainment Content Inclusion Standards. A leaked document from Disney. It says, Standard A, on-screen representation. At least 3 of the following 5 areas need to be met to fulfill Standard A. A1, characters 50% or more of regular and recurring written characters come from underrepresented groups. A2, actors 50% or more of regular and recurring actors come from underrepresented groups. A3, secondary characters, meaningful inclusion of underrepresented groups as secondary or more minor on-screen individuals, including background actors. A4, series premise, meaningful integration of underrepresented groups in overall themes and narratives. A5, episodic storytelling, ongoing meaningful integration of underrepresented groups in episodic themes and narratives. The writing staff, they say 50% or more of producer and above on writing staff and co-producers must come from underrepresented groups. They say 50% of episodic directors must come from underrepresented groups, the casting director, and so on and so on and so on. The line producer, key roles, overall crew, all 50% have to come from underrepresented groups. So on the subject of Disney, I'm sorry to say that you'll never see a good movie again from them, and probably never see a good movie from Hollywood ever with those kind of criteria that you can also see on the Oscar website in their official criteria for whether you're going to get an Oscar or not. All your favorite movies, dead or dying, all riddled with Marxist victimhood propaganda. Imagine Mao or Stalin era entertainment. That's essentially what you're getting now, with a slight American twist in 2024 in the West, from today until infinity. The trend of race and gender swapping and destroying franchises on the altar of wokeness is actually continuing unabated, and its next abomination of a product is Pirates of the Caribbean. So they're releasing Pirates of the Caribbean, but they're going to gender swap all the pirates. So according to It's a Gundam, Dismal Disney, referencing this news article that says Johnny Depp's Jack Sparrow gone, Disney moving forward with female-led Pirates of the Caribbean 6. They should call it Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Lesbians on the High Seas. Don't act surprised though, because this is what they want. They want you to act surprised. They want you to be pissed off. They want you to voice your displeasure with them butchering and destroying your favorite franchises. People always act surprised when this happens. Oh my God, they've made this woke, they've made that woke. It's by design. They want you to be surprised because they're trying to antagonize you. Remember, they want your reaction. Then they will gaslight you. They're going to gaslight you and say, it's your fault. You have the problem, when they are the ones making the problem. They want to infuriate you by gender swapping Pirates of the Caribbean, by race swapping Ariel and whatnot. They want to infuriate you, and your rage will be used as their evidence that they are doing the right thing in taking over the entertainment industry. It's a Kafka trap. Calling them out means you are the guilty one. So we need a strategy against the woke left. We can't just give them what they want, which is an angry reaction every single time, something I have been guilty of. We can't play into their hands and overreact. What they're doing at Disney and across the entertainment industry is the same as what Mao did in the Chinese Cultural Revolution. Antagonization and conflict are central to the woke left's plans and Disney's plans. When you react in a fair, reasonable way to their destruction and rape of your favorite franchise, they pretend to act surprised and shocked and clutch pearls. But really, as I said, it's part of their plan. Their tactics are to antagonize a great many people to further the goals of their Marxist revolution in America. That's exactly what they're doing. It's the same as what Mao did. So if you understand Mao and his strategy, you understand the wokesters' strategies who are operating at Disney. So to recap, if you want to understand what Disney is doing, why they're gender swapping Pirates of the Caribbean and whatnot, and how to counter it, please listen closely. So let's compare Mao's Cultural Revolution to the kind of American Cultural Revolution that's happening now. Okay? So here is how the Red Guards of Mao's China, a mass student-led paramilitary social movement mobilized by Mao antagonized people to further their ends, like Disney are doing to you now. So what Mao did was, number one, he attacked the four olds. You might have heard of this. So the Red Guards of Mao attacked the four olds: old customs, old culture, old habits, and old ideas. So the left now are attacking the four olds of America. So old customs that Mao attacked. Think of the old customs that Disney and the left are attacking now in America. Thanksgiving, Independence Day, Christmas, religious observances based around nuclear family, structure. You can see this happening in real time. They are attacking old culture in America. Movies like what Disney are doing here. The male protagonist, Hollywood, white male dominance, patriarchal dominance, they say. So they're attacking a lot of old culture in America. The leftists are attacking old habits, the traditional American work ethic. They say that benefits the white patriarchal system. The left are attacking the educational system. You've heard that mathematics is racist. You've heard that science is racist. They say it reinforces existing power structures and enforces a Eurocentric view of the world. Yes, the left today are attacking the old habits of America, much like how Mao's Red Guards attacked the old habits of China. And the left are attacking old ideas, capitalism, individualism, American dream, heteronormative activity. The left are trying to instill their own cultural revolution in order to take over the power structures of America and instill socialism, which means everyone gets something according to their ability and their need, which is why they're giving people jobs who they see as a victim class that need their help in exchange for their votes. So back to Mao. Let's keep comparing how Mao's Red Guards antagonize people to further their ends. And we can compare that to how Disney and the woke left are antagonizing you to further their ends. So Maoist attacks on the four olds often involved violent and aggressive campaigns against people who were seen as embodying or supporting these traditional elements. Such actions included public humiliation and conflict. Just see any Antifa, Trantifa demo for evidence of this in 2024 in America. There were violent and aggressive campaigns against the four olds in China, and those included the destruction of historical artifacts. You see that all the time in America. Recently, they melted down the statue of Robert E. Lee in Virginia. They attacked cultural sites in communist China. They just look at what they do with Free Palestine graffiti, tagging that over cultural sites in America and in England and stuff like that. That's what Mao was doing. That's what they're doing in America. That's what Disney are doing. The other things that Maoists did in order to instill the Cultural Revolution was they antagonize you with struggle sessions. So individuals are accused of being bourgeois or revisionist or having counter-revolutionary ties, and they're subjected to struggle sessions. And you see this all the time. Anyone who criticizes the race swapping of The Little Mermaid is called a racist. And then online, everyone attacks them, and then they have to give the PR response where they apologize profusely. And then other people are afraid not to join the cult of leftism. You see this in Maoist China. You saw it in Maoist China. You see it in America today. Anyone who isn't with the wokesters, isn't with the LGBTQ mafia, who isn't with BLM, isn't with any of this stuff, is essentially called a counter-revolutionary. That's what they called them. That's what Mao called them. But they will call you a racist, sexist, homophobe, stuff like that. These were public humiliations where the accused were verbally and physically abused until they confessed to their supposed crimes and renounced their old ways. You see that all the time now on X, and it's what Disney is doing, trying to bring about their own cultural revolution. Note, the people who don't kowtow to the mob, the people who don't apologize, often win big. Trump became president of the United States of America. J.K. Rowling, after she didn't bend the knee and didn't apologize for her factual comments about transgenders, her book sales soared and her video game release broke sales records. Other ways that Mao would try to antagonize people in order to help bring about the Cultural Revolution, in the same way that Disney and wokesters try to antagonize you by messing with your favorite franchises. They release a lot of propaganda and they try to indoctrinate people. So the Red Guards use propaganda to promote the goals of the Cultural Revolution and Mao's ideology. They produced and distributed posters, leaflets, and red books with quotations from Chairman Mao to indoctrinate the masses and incite them against perceived enemies. Now, today, we don't need flyers and we don't have to hand out little books and pieces of paper. We've got the internet. And so the propaganda that Mao tried to antagonize people with in order to make them reveal themselves, and then the Red Guards could kind of attack them and get them involved in a struggle session, was with propaganda and indoctrination. How much propaganda do you see in Disney movies today? How much of it? It's just, that's all it is. It's relentless propaganda. Disney and the left are doing exactly what Mao and his Red Guards did back in the day in China. Other ways that Mao would antagonize people in order to bring about the Cultural Revolution was through persecution of intellectuals and educated people. So intellectuals, teachers, and anyone with a higher education or bourgeois background were particularly targeted in communist China during the Cultural Revolution. They were often sent to re-education camps or forced to perform hard labor in rural areas to learn from the peasants. Just see Jordan Peterson. The wokesters came after him. He's had his clinical psychology license taken away by the Board of Psychologists of Canada, and he's an intellectual, and they are trying to re-educate him for his wrong think. You can see how the left today are very much emulating Mao in the way they try to antagonize people into their political snares and then cancel them or convert them. Mao also encouraged informants. So the Red Guards encouraged people, including children, to inform on their family members, friends, and neighbors. This created a climate of fear and mistrust where people were afraid to speak out against the Cultural Revolution. So you see this today all the time online, people snitching on each other. This you, did you say that? You even see like kids saying things about their parents and stuff, and kids who've been indoctrinated into the Ku Klux Trans cult and stuff like that. They'll say their parents are transphobic and try to snitch on their parents and stuff like that. The same things are happening today as what was happening in communist China back in the day. Let's hope it doesn't get to that stage. Other ways that Mao would try to kind of antagonize people, Maoists and Marxists, that they need to antagonize people to bring about the revolution. If there's no antagonization, there's no conflict, and then therefore they can't act out their ideology, which is to bring about socialism through a revolution. They need to antagonize, and one way they did that was by manipulating public opinion. So the Red Guards were skilled at manipulating public opinion and exploiting people's reactions. They used mass rallies, public denunciations, and other forms of public persuasion to rally support and discredit their enemies. You hear that? So Mao exploited people's reactions. And so Disney are trying to get a reaction from you when they gender swap the Pirates of the Caribbean. So online, everyone's going to react, and then they're going to exploit your reaction. And then they're going to denounce you, and they're going to try to cancel you, and they're going to try to put you through a struggle session. So wokeness is riddling entertainment at the moment, especially movies and whatnot. And the intention of this is simply to take over the whole thing and use it as a propaganda vehicle and to strengthen their narrative. So this is exactly what's happening today in Disney. They're trying to antagonize you into the political conversation. They want there to be an overreaction. They want people to start fighting online. That's central to the Marxist philosophy. So be smart, Massacre mates. React accordingly. Don't get angry about what they're doing. Don't get angry about Pirates of the Caribbean. Instead, calmly point out what they're doing and calmly point out their dishonesty, like I'm doing now. Understand their arguments. Understand Marxism. Understand neo-Marxism, postmodernism, Herbert Marcuse, and the New Left. And then lay out the truth, exactly what they're doing, because they operate on falsehoods and fake ideological terms. Once those are clarified, you must reject their premise. You must reject their victimhood ideology. You must reject their claims that there's this oppressive system that's holding everyone down, and everyone's failure who's not part of the ruling class is down to somebody else and is nothing to do with their own responsibility. You have to reject that. They only use that as an excuse in order to steal shit and redistribute goods from a lot of honest people who've earned it. That's what they're doing. So once you understand what their ideology is, you can reject it. And then you can defend yourself from their narcissism and bullying by calling out their bad faith tactics for what they are. They're doing this race swapping, this gender swapping, to antagonize you. And then they're going to use your reaction as a way to build their narrative and build their strength and cancel you and weaken you. So fight back by exposing their crimes, their rape and exploitation of our culture and tradition, and do not apologize. Never. Remember, Disney want your reaction and will use it against you and then claim innocence. Don't give them that. So now we see the similarities between the woke left and historical Marxist regimes. I can go deeper into why they are antagonizing you in this way. Why they always do this shit. They take this property that's really beloved and all they have to do is just continue the franchise. No, they change it because they want to antagonize you. So the left's antagonization is a dialectical process. So the dialectic is something that's central to Marxism. So the dialectic is a method of argument or discussion that involves contradictory ideas. So in philosophy, especially in context of Marxism, the dialectic refers to the process of thesis, antithesis, and synthesis. The thesis is an existing idea or system, like all your beloved Disney movies that are built on, I guess, Judeo-Christian culture and values. The antithesis is the opposition to or the negation of this idea, which is wokeness, which is intersectional politics, which is like non-binary, all this kind of stuff. And the synthesis resolves the conflict between the two by reconciling their common truths or by forming a new proposition. So Marxism was, of course, created by Karl Marx, and he wanted to create communism. And he said the only way to create communism was through the dialectic, which is when capitalism, the thesis, meets socialism, the antithesis. And when they go together and you have this conflict, this dialectic, you get what he wanted, which is communism, which is we all sit in a garden and use crayons to paint rainbows all day while surrounded by heroin addicts. So they need antagonization. They need it. They need you to be pissed off when they gender swap Pirates of the Caribbean, because they're going to use that as part of the conflict of the thesis with their antithesis, and they're going to bring about some kind of social change. That is literally what they're trying to do. So with that said, do you now see why the left antagonizes so much? The left is deliberately creating a conflict to bring about a synthesis of capitalism and socialism, which is what Karl Marx prophesied, their God and their leader. Read the Communist Manifesto, it will become clear. Antagonization is central to the left's philosophy, and it is required to bring about a revolution. They always talk about revolution, right? Tearing down the system. You cannot have a revolution without some kind of conflict. It is central to their belief. Hence why this BS never ends. This woke stuff never ends. The killing of Star Wars, you know, the killing of like all these amazing franchises, it never ends, because when your philosophy is literally built on conflict, forged on the idea of bloody, yes, that's what Karl Marx says, bloody revolution. If you resolve this conflict, then Marxism has reached its zenith and it isn't necessary anymore. That's why this BS never stops, because they need conflict. It's central to their philosophy. Do you think that one day when Marxists balance everything out to 50%, like you saw in those leaked slides from Disney, courtesy of Elon Musk, that all the wokesters are going to pack up their shit and leave and say, job done? Not when the end result is absolute power. Power that they have to maintain by continuing the victim narrative and the conflict and the antagonization. So, the woke left, they seek to outrage and purposefully create conflict. Female Ghostbusters, race-swapping Snow White and the Little Mermaid, killing off Han Solo, now female pirates in the Caribbean, like leading the ship. The left introduced these progressive, woke or intersectional themes into entertainment and media. These movements are seen to be deliberately challenging traditional values and norms. It's exactly what they're doing, and that creates the dialectical conflict, the thesis versus the antithesis. And then the backlash or negative reaction from certain sections of society, myself included, to these themes is then used, as I said, as evidence to support the left's claims of systemic oppression and the need for societal change. It's like that meme where the guy puts the stick in his bike spoke and he falls down and then he blames someone else for injuring himself. That's what they do. So don't fall for it, Massacre mates. Don't fall for it. They want your reaction. All we have to do is call out their bullshit, call them out on it, say exactly what it is, and just wholly reject it. Wholly reject this shit. I reject Marxism. I reject victimhood ideology. I never would brand someone a victim without their consent if they didn't say it. Or even if they did, I wouldn't think they're a victim. I don't think socialism is the answer. I don't think redistribution of wealth is the answer, especially not at the expense of beloved franchises that you're cynically taking over to become more powerful. So if you're wondering why the left is always causing shit and always being as annoying as possible and always ruining all your shit, it's because they want your reaction, and that's how they justify the revolution. That's how they justify it. They fuse their ugly shit antithesis with your great shit thesis, as in like taking the whammon, their antithesis, and then mixing it with the thesis of Pirates of the Caribbean that everybody loves to create the synthesis. And then it's really parasitic. They leverage the success of your shit by parasiting it. They take over the host and they create a new abomination that's kind of not as cool or fun or great as it was before, but at least they took over it, and now that they own it. So that's what Disney are doing, everybody. That's what Disney are doing. It's not just in Pirates of the Caribbean. It's in all your favorite franchises that they're ruining. And I'm tired of it. You're tired of it. Don't be surprised when it happens next week and the week after that. It will never stop, because these people do not care about your favorite franchise. They only care about one thing. They see the world and the narrative through the lens of power. They believe everything boils down to that. They believe every negative thing in society is due to a power abuse. And so therefore they are justified in also unfairly trying to accrue power and use it and wield it against the oppressors. That's what they believe, and they will never ever stop. Call it out, don't support them, and fight back against it. I'm doing my bit. I'm doing my best. I dislike it massively. It's anti-freedom. It's anti-individual. It's a disgusting ideology. It's a pernicious, dishonest ideology that seeks to subvert, and all it can do is destroy. It's just a pattern of lies and destruction. It is brainwashing. It's insidious. It's fucking disgusting, for want of a better expression. And that is why Gina Carano lost her job. And did you see how they antagonized all the fan base? They antagonized all of Star Wars, and then everybody's fighting, and they use it to their advantage. And they're going to keep on doing it and keep on doing it unless you understand what they're doing, you call it out, and you wholly reject it. So Fast Clips in the comments says, will you visit Disneyland in March for research purposes? No, quite simply. No, I cannot do it. I cannot do it. You can see the bitterness and the rage I have for it, because they're taking away our freedoms, and they're destroying the really important things in our culture. The damage that they're doing to culture is incalculable. It's unreal, the amount of damage that they're doing. So how can you not be upset and angry when people are not only doing something evil and destructive, but then they're blaming you for it, and then trying to cloak what they're doing in virtue. I mean, it's the worst thing ever, but need to be calm about it. It is what it is. That's what these Marxists do, these cult members. We all start off as a leftist, but in the end, people wake up. I just hope a lot of people wake up sooner, and that's one of the reasons I make this show. So there you go. Tucker Carlson is going to interview Vladimir Putin, and the interview apparently is going to be dropping very soon indeed. I absolutely cannot wait for that. Gina Carano is suing Dirty Disney with the help of Elon Musk. That wasn't on my bingo card for 2024. And Disney are going to gender swap the pirates in Pirates of the Caribbean. The reason they're doing it is because they want to antagonize you. They want to get a reaction from you. Do not give them the reaction. Call out what they're doing and wholly reject and do not support their actions. That is the summary of tonight's episode of Johnny Massacre's World. As I said, if you did enjoy this episode, please consider donating. streamlabs.com/Johnny Massacre. I've signed up. I've got to make a fat wedge by April. Today's show took me about 10 hours of research to bring that to you. Do that at the expense of a real job. So I've got loads of bills to pay. And if you want to keep getting these episodes, your donations will make it happen. And yeah, signed up for, I shouldn't say this actually. My mum will she'll get too upset. But it's not prostitution, but I'm considering doing something to make some money to still be able to make the show that probably isn't best for my health, but hopefully it won't get to that. And whatever happens, I'll do my best to keep bringing you this show and with the resources that I've got. So thank you very much, everybody. I do appreciate you. And it is 1:41 in Tokyo. I'm going to bring you another show tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to be talking about Godzilla Minus One. Saw that movie couple of days ago and I will be reviewing it, which should be very fun indeed. And we're also going to talk a little bit about non-governmental organizations, what they are and how they are used to further the political ambitions of the globalists. Got a lot of interesting information for you there as well that I'm sure you will very much like. Give us a hint, says Random Man. Okay, well, the thing is, like, my mom's gonna freak out, but maybe she won't. But she listens to like all these episodes. But I think it's called medical testing. So you can get money by doing medical testing. So I don't know. They give you some medicine and like keep you in hospital for a week or something, or some injection. So I'm considering it because that would get me out of like I'd be able to pay all my taxes, all my bills, everything. But it's probably not the best idea. And as someone who didn't take the Axine and wouldn't, that's kind of shows you how desperate I'm getting. But yeah, hopefully it won't get to that. But I'm considering it. I signed up for it. So I'm going to go there on 22nd of February and just have an interview. I don't have to take it, but probably not a good idea, right? I don't know. But let's see what happens. Yeah, so I'm considering that. But I like doing this. I like doing this show. I like doing creative stuff, and you can see the extreme lengths I'll go to in order to just follow my dreams and, I mean, just do what I want to do. So it's all worth it, I guess. Random Man says, could be worse than the giggle juice they tried to give us all. Bail out, pull the ripcord terrain, pull up. Pull up. Tomorrow I'm gonna do an hour run and hit the gym as well. And got a marathon coming up on the 17th of March. 2 days before my birthday. That's on a Sunday. So training's going pretty well. My Achilles seems to be not too bad. I was a bit worried about that for a short while. But training seems to be going well. Feeling pretty strong. Feeling pretty good. Fit and healthy. So yeah, looking forward to doing that training tomorrow. And looking forward to bringing you another episode. So thank you very much, everybody. Really appreciate you joining me. Enjoy the Tucker Carlson Putin interview when it drops imminently. Much love and take care. Cheers.